Deputy Rabbitte.
And I will obey. I wish to move amendment number 1 to the motion that's here tonight.
You don't have to move it.
I don't have to.
Until such time as we're voting, or maybe.
All right, we're all learning here this evening. All right, that's good. All right, we all agree that that there should be a fair start for children. I think the motion this evening is very welcome and it's very timely. I personally, myself, after reading the motion that came before it encapsulates everything from well-being to education, health, social welfare, disabilities, childcare, citizenship, child and family relationships, life experiences is what you went on about, Deputy Howland, and I personally believe really about that life experiencing, because I believe whether you come from Dublin or Galway, whether you're from a single-parent family, two-parent family, same-sex family, four-parent family, being reared by your grandparents, geography or your start should not define you. It should not define you whatsoever. I think, Minister, it's falling on your shoulders here tonight to be before us, but I think there's a lot of other ministers missing from sitting beside you. And I am going to name who I think should be sitting beside you. I think Minister Flanagan and Minister Staunton should be sitting there. I think Minister McHugh, Minister Doherty, Minister Harris, Minister Daly, Minister Murphy and Minister Bruton should all be sitting there. Because I do believe that the thrust of this motion here tonight is a whole of government and a whole of department approach. Because it is a very broad bill, our motion, but it's really a really good motion. And I think it should be the start of, if we want to be serious about the 100 years of a move on, it should be the part where we should say, while we have a motion here tonight, we should come back here again in a number of months' time and discuss it with all your colleagues in government, and let all your colleagues in government talk to us here in relation to the various aspects that have been put into this here tonight. From my party's point of view, there are certain calls that we have on government tonight, and one of them would be to facilitate the swift passage of the Parental Leave Amendment Bill 2017. To allow for the swift passage of the Shared Maternity Bill and Leave Bill 2018. Immediate commencement sections 2 and 3 of the Child and Family Relationships Act 2015. Immediately implement actions to ensure that no child remains homeless. Implement the affordable childcare scheme as announced in Budget 2019, and you have eloquently addressed that there earlier on, Minister. Address extremely lengthy waiting periods that are faced for children awaiting disability assessments, and I have no doubt my colleagues are going to go in depth into this. Increase the availability of vital disability services for children, including occupational therapy, speech and language therapy. Increase capitation funding to schools around the country, thus reducing the need for parental contributions, which you have already discussed there, Deputy Howland. Immediately establish the register to facilitate adoptive parents' access to information surrounding their birth and enable mutual agreed upon exchanges. And I think that is the information and tracing bill, Minister. It would be great and very welcome to see that coming here. Prepare and implement a comprehensive strategy to eliminate consistent child poverty and material deprivation with clear timelines for the implementations, and report to the Dáil on this strategy on a quarterly basis. I think, Minister, you and I are used to doing questions here on a monthly basis, and I think this evening's motion really brings it all together, really, really well, because 100 years on, we know that the gaps that are there today are shocking. What I am looking for, and what my party are looking for, and not to be critical, I don't want to look to the future. I want to deal with the issues that are here and now. The thousands of children that are trying to access services, the numbers of children that need to have that SNA teacher appointed, the number of children that need to have that classroom provision that is properly equipped to deal with them. No child should have to leave the community to get their education. Their education should be provided for them within their community, within their school. So if we need to put on an ASD unit, that needs to be put in place, and capitation needs to be provided to allow for that to happen. Capital capacity is going to be a huge issue going forward as well in relation to the early years sector. And when we talk about capacity, we need to ensure that children coming to the future, that we have the ability to cater for all our children, regardless of their geographic locations. We have to ensure that we can cater for them. In the modern day Ireland, it's totally unacceptable that almost 1 in 4 children are experiencing ongoing deprivation in their lives, and that 105,000 children living in constant poverty. The experience of poverty and deprivation has a profound impact on a child's ability to develop well and to flourish. It also has a profound impact as to how it shapes their life, as to how they see the future, and as to how that they are pitched within it. It has a huge impact on their well-being and on their mental health. It has a huge impact on how they engage with their friends in the schoolyard. I think, in all fairness, that when you go back to government and you're talking in relation to the DEIS model, I think that is something that we have to ensure that every child has to be able to have a good lunch at school. It is a particular issue in it. Children going to school, and I've seen ads on in relation to it recently about opening the lunch box and feeling guilty or not having a proper lunch, and the little boy makes some excuse to go and wash his hands, but when he comes back his lunch box is filled and his friends filled the lunch box. I think that was a real starking, meaningful, that children are very aware of other children's positions. But I think we shouldn't make it fall on the shoulders of young people to sort out adults' problems. I think we should try and sort out some of these problems by identifying, and my colleague Darragh O'Brien speaks about his school where that certain parents bring in extra lunches to provide for children who might not have it. I think it's something that the government should really look at. I'm going to hand over to my colleagues.